folks. Welcome in. Thank you so very much for being here into the inaugural session for the year. Free on DM Studios. Omni, thank you so much for having the honored position of hosting this. I appreciate you doing it, man. I couldn't think of anybody better to do it. Red, thank you for being here.
Buddy.
Natalie, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Omni.
Oh, man, buddy. Thank you so much. First off, happy to be back. Hope everyone enjoyed the new year. Oof. Okay, just gonna mute myself there.
Drank mead, and then I didn't finish the bottle of it. I got sleepy. Fell asleep 30 minutes after midnight.
That is a good night. I'm pretty sure I just stayed up late enough to wish everyone Happy New Year, and then I passed out immediately.
I don't want to talk about what I was doing.
Mr. Daedalus Kane, Shady Sail, everyone's here. Alakazam, thank you guys all so much for being here, truly. Welcome back to Mouseguard, the Frontier. I've been crazy busy the past couple of days, just laying low, doing an insane amount of writing and unpacking, because again, you all saved our lives during the holidays, and we really appreciate it. Behind me is what's left of the packing, so this will disappear with time, but for now, we're not here for that. We're here for Mouseguard. So, that was perfectly timed music. I want you guys to do me a favor and give me a recap of what happened last time. And feel free to get some points. It can be as far back as you want, whatever works for you guys. Let's hear it. In no particular order.
We went to war, and we won. That's the long and short of it. The more detailed version is that Dukan kind of put his hand on the table. I was going to say something else, but at the last second, I didn't out. Put his hand on the table and said, if things don't go well, I'm going to be losing this here hand. And not literally, metaphorically. He was probably going to be killed. Oh, Sail!
Aw, thank you, Shady.
Hey.
Didn't he?
Hey, boss.
As I was the war went quite well. We infiltrated
Serpent's Run.
We found out who it was we were going up against, and I called in a tactical bombardment, found off, like as a shot across the bow, but also to purposefully fuck up their main method of transportation above ground, the circle, dominate the folk within. So we that was kind of like the episode before that. That was like that. Next episode, we ended up fighting out that war. Stern talking about ordering tactical bombardments with veracity. And at the end of the day, it ended up working out. Me and Gato and Cole were all like in the thick of it, surrounded by like snakes, the other mice that we were unfortunately having to just doomslayer our way through. It felt really cool, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, Natalie and Red, that you had to hear that. You guys feel really good to run through like you are a train, like I am a train. I mean, plowing through. It felt like being a space marine. I can't get over it. You did great. We figure out where is it the Vicar or the Viscount? I don't remember.
The Vicar.
Vicar.
This is his name, the Vicar.
We found out where the Vicar was. He kind of heralded his Bible, and then, as I said, in that back-to-back moment, Dukan saw an opening, and he foreluded himself through the open throat. Said a few words, specifically to me, I feel like, but it was kind of addressing everybody at the same time. That I'll be in your dreams, and then he died. And that's it.
That's pretty. That's a pretty good one, I'd say. Take your choice.
belt.
Fate or Persona?
Don't take
Your
it.
call. Okay. Natalie and Red, do you have anything to add as well? Red, I know you were there at the last session, but we're going to get to what's going on with you shortly. Natalie, did you have anything you wanted to add about last session in particular?
Yeah, just the part where before we went to battle with the snakes, but after Weasel decided to bombard them, they tried to infiltrate our dreams, which was not cool, but didn't work on Cyanna. She was like, I had this little weird dream about some snakes. Meanwhile, Jukan was tossing and turning and probably vomiting in his sleep.
I was literally getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
You fought the vicar in your sleep before fighting him in real life. Also, we saved a good amount of the mice from the snakes, both during battle and afterwards. And I don't know if we found out if the little snake's family was okay. Green Fang, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't believe you guys ever found out. I believe the session literally ended right as as everything went south. So right after you guys killed the serpent, the vicar, like I literally had to cut to black because that battle had been going on for so long. So yeah, no, that's very fair and very important. You guys actually the expedition did lose some people to the plague of sleep, as I recall. So wasn't
also. Sorry. Also, Cedric was in battle with that cape that we found that Dukan got weird feelings about.
Bad feelings.
Bad feelings, weird feelings. Yeah, you know. All right. Well, it's fantastic. Fate or Persona, your choice. Red. We're going to be having a fun time, you and me, because normally this would be where I'd be asking you to do a recap, but basically what happened last time was you were not there, because as I recall, towards the end of this last session you were there in, you want to summarize that for us a little bit, because that's going to be relevant now.
So, Giles was like, okay, well, we obviously need more help than we have right now, and especially considering a lot of people are just like, I'm not going to help because that's going to mess up my station. It's just like, oh, okay. So Giles thought, is just like, okay, not only am I going to get a terror weapon, I'm going to get a very intellectual terror weapon. So he traveled out with his two new thieves, as they were Janet. I don't remember Janet and Jimmy Johnson, James Lee. Janet and James.
Jeffrey and Janet.
Jeffrey and Janet. Okay,
yes.
Okay. So
the
yeah,
JJs.
I went out with Janet and James Lee to find this owl, and because I wanted a bird of prey. I kept saying I wanted to have a bear, but you're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I will eventually, but I'll start small. So we went to go get this owl, and I made a deal with the owl, and he's just like, owl basically told me that, okay, so here's the deal. I just like gutted your friend, and just like, lol, okay. But then he was just like, you got to go to this place, take down this owl, so I can get my home back, and then I'll help you. And he's like, I'll maybe help you. And Giles was just like, if you don't help me, I will find a way to kill you, and it'll be horrible and agonizing. And I was just like, I appreciate how brave you are. And Giles was like, I will fucking kill you. And even if I don't kill you, I will maim you so bad you'll wish that I killed you. I'll take you with me, motherfucker. But, so Giles felt guilty about, I almost said James Lee again. What's his name? Jeffrey?
So guilty about
Jeffrey?
James. Jeffrey. His name is Jeffrey. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I felt so bad about old James Lee getting hurt that we Giles was just like, okay, I'm not gonna go on the expedition. I'm gonna like stay here and do some subterfuge work, so sort of like work amongst the population to be like, hey, let's this guy that you really revere and stuff like that. Here's all the awful things that he's doing, and that Giles is basically just acting like an interloper at this point. And he said, I will catch up with the expedition. Do like Gandalf type shit. Just like, I will see you again.
I'm off doing Gandalf shit. Leave me alone.
I'm off doing Gandalf shit. I'll come back as Giles the White. I'll be riding a white bear.
If you have a horse,
Giles the Tartan. It's not plaid anymore. It's tartan now.
Yeah, just inverse, just fucking go into
Just
Photoshop
reverse
and like
colors.
inverse the colors of my kilt. Yeah. No, but Giles' whole thing right now is okay. I'm going to go I'm going to stir up some nonsense so I can sort of soften up the population before we go in and deliver like the final blow to this guy's empire. And yeah, that's a nice little guitar strum right there. But yeah, I literally could be doing Gandalf stuff, but come riding in on an owl, you know. Just...
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You definitely did earn a Fade and Persona point there, buddy. So absolutely take your choice. In fact, actually, because you missed 2 sessions, I'm going to say we're going to give you your choice of Fade Persona now. Depending on what happens next, we'll see if you earned another one before your part in the session begins proper.
Sure, boss. I haven't done the Scottish accent in a while, so people in chat forgive me.
Yeah.
If it sounds a little Irish.
Right. It rubs off on me a little bit too. It's why almost all my NPCs are becoming slowly Scottish with time.
That's right. It's like I was telling Derek before the session. My stupidity wears off on other people, and I leave an imprint.
I recently watched Men in Black, and there's a line in it specifically that says we shouldn't have universal translators because in some parts of the galaxy, human thought is thought of as an infectious disease of some kind. Kind of makes you proud, doesn't it? And man, that isn't the way it is with accents.
That's me. It's just like me, for real.
Slowly becomes more Scottish. I just grow a kilt. Yeah. All right.
That's foul. I hate that image.
Yeah, I know. God, that's some Doctor Who shit. So we're gonna start with you, Red. We're gonna grab Giles and yeet him back into the go back machine.
Oh yeah.
Derek, you got some tension music, I suppose. Perfect. As we transition over to that. So, Giles, it was about, give or take, a couple of hours before the expedition was going to head out when you departed the expedition's caravan and made your way into Gauntlet, which, as a gentle reminder, since I'm not sure everyone's there, yes, everyone is here at this place. Gauntlet would be the capital city of what is known as Midnight's Mouse Empire, which is located right there. The city of Gauntlet is a brutal and stark place, sequestered amongst a number of rocky outcroppings, and most of it's around a shale, I guess it'd be a shale slide, like an exposed shale vein. So the entirety of the area is surrounded by really sharp, jagged rocks. And within it are these largely simple concrete structures with thatched roofs and structures on top occasionally that are made out of wrought iron. The entire thing is this imposing, stark battlement against nature, occupied by mice who rule over a lower caste of predators, primarily weasels, and have become tyrants in this region. That's the long and short of it, but you really don't know too much more about it beyond that and who runs it, an old adversary of the Mouse Guard, who's given you, in fairness, leave of the city until your expedition leaves, which it is leaving shortly. So, Giles, you're trying to scoot away into the dark, and you have successfully gotten away from the caravan. How are you going to go about this in Gauntlet?
Okay, well, for particular reasons, Giles isn't very sneaky. Maybe double check and see what I could use here.
You are a mouse. Mice natively have the ability to move quietly in their nature. So if you have a decent nature, you have the ability to sneak.
My nature is a whopping 3, just 1 away from an advancement, so that's cool.
Nice. That's actually not bad for someone of your stature.
Yeah,
usually it's lower.
I do have the tall trait, so. Okay,
It's really more of an advantage than a disadvantage.
So obviously, where I'm starting is going to be with the weasels, because a lot of the weasels heard me speak about how weasels should be treated as equals, and that's probably just inherently it's just like there's a mouse speaking on behalf of us. That's probably just like, huh, that's a good start. So Giles is gonna go to where the weasels are, and he's going to start colluding, as it were. He's definitely gonna have to do some serious sneaking for a mouse to go into weasel territory, but it's gonna be the start, as it were. He's doing this all by himself too. Arabella's off with the rest of the expedition. His entire group from Wolfram is off elsewhere.
All right, Giles. So, knowing that now, let's see. I'm gonna want you to make me first, because you don't have a scout. Well, you have a scout. Well, no, you have a Phelan scout. You don't have any scout. Make me a. You can make me either a mouse nature roll, your choice, or take a shot at an unskilled scout roll.
Yeah,
which would be
nature.
Yeah. Basically, it would be a mouse nature roll, but if you fail, it reduces your nature. So
that is fine.
Okay.
How's that?
Let's take a peek and see. Oh God, yeah, no, that's perfect. So
we're off to a good start. This is a Giles-esque start, dare I say.
So as you have snuck away from the expedition, for the most part, your departure was covered by the no small amount of madness in Jeffrey and Janet's return, your return, and the debriefing, and all the crazed preparations for assaulting Serpent's Run. So you moving out of the expedition, all but uncontested. But heading away from the expedition into the many houses and structures nearby, you become keenly aware of just how fortified Gauntlet is. Gauntlet isn't called Gauntlet just because the guy who rules it has a big metal glove. No, it's called Gauntlet because it is in fact a gauntlet. Every street, every single road and path, they all loop back in on each other in a lattice work of gently curving streets that allow people to walk along them and be basically unseen till they're right on top of you. A thing that seems like it'd be great for any kind of like sneak thieves and folks who prefer to stick to the shadows, until you realize that there are guards constantly in this place. Honestly, the Black Helm Guard of Midnight probably are the primary employers of people here in Gauntlet. It's like 1 out of every 4 mice work for this guard. And so you frequently see black armor walking about. And you realize that your welcome would probably overstay if you're caught. So I'm going to say you're smart enough to duck into a nice quiet alleyway or underneath one of the homes where the mice live on the top floor. The weasels tend to live in the bottoms and in the basements. So you said you wanted to go to meet one of the weasels? So I'm going to say you found a little alcove beneath one of the nearby houses you sort of slipped into. And it's definitely a weasel den, from what you can tell. There's a squalid sense about it. The whole interior it's more like a cave than an actual building, literally dug out of the rock with like bare hands and simple tools. And the ground is mostly just hay strewn about. There's a couple of little like wooden boxes and crates here and there, a little bit of clay pottery, but for the most part, it seems like it's salvaged or really cheaply handmade. And there's also a little fireplace nearby, but it doesn't even have proper venting. So from what you can tell, this place probably gets crazy smoky when they try to cook. At the moment, there is only one weasel in it, and they are currently sleeping on the far side. And from what you can tell, it appears to be a pup. So, but you can tell the pup is even wearing its mask while it sleeps. What do you do, Giles?
Not sure. I just want to like walk in and wake everybody up. That's probably a bad idea. Probably, I'll do like a quiet gesture, like I'll like knock on the wall or something, see if that rouses anybody. I'm not trying to like wake everybody in here. It's like maybe a few at a time, and then
Okay.
you know.
From what you can see, at the moment in the dark, the only thing you can really see is like just the one pup. There might be some more a little deeper in, but from what you can tell, it's just the pup. So when you gently knock, slowly the weasel just sort of like rouses and turns and looks around until you get the bright, shining yellow eyes of the weasel peering out of its mask as it looks at you. Its mask actually looks like, I think for this one, we'll say this one has a wolf's face, like a very crudely carved wolf's face, as it turns to look at you. You have managed to, as you slipped out of the mouse expedition, you grabbed a cloth at the last session, as I recall. You said you sort of put over your very distinctive lordly gear. So you look more like a traveler than anything else, or, you know, a destitute mouse. And the mouse just sort of like, or so the weasel just sort of looks at you and just, you can see like, raises its hackles a tiny bit. What are you doing here, mouse?
One of the older folk, the adults, need to speak with them.
Sure, I'll go grab my mother. And he just sort of like slowly straightens up and lopes into the dark. And you can hear a yawn and a groan. And entering back in is an adult weasel. She, from what you can tell, isn't particularly huge by weasel standards, but by mouse standards, she is still 3 times your height, even with your tall feature. You're big, but you're big for mice, not for weasels. She comes walking over, and you can see she is holding what appears to be this wooden bow. It's not quite like it's not just a stick, it's been carved and whittled, it looks like, and used occasionally for grabbing pots and other things, but the way she's holding it, it's half like a crutch and half a weapon, that in case someone tries to come in and loot what little they have. She steps into the light, and you can see she also has a wolf's mask on. It literally just looks like a slightly bigger version of her child. Brown fur, kind of mottled, very dirty. Hard to really tell if she actually has brown fur, or if it's just caked on dirt and mud. She just sort of steps into the light ahead of you. What can I do for you, Master Mouse?
That's Giles' response. He just beeps. So...
Sorry.
It's your fun. I'm just playing on it. I am not your master. I'm nobody's master. Let me make this clear. He pulls her down. I am Giles Wolfram, and I come with a proposition.
You can feel her eyes narrowing. It's really hard to see. Again, it's a mask. Like, all you can really see is the light flickering off, the very pale, like, moonlight flickering off the iris of her eye that's managed to work its way in here. But it's enough to see, like, it's slightly occluded by the eyelid. She steps forward and leans on the stick. Have a seat. You said Wolfram? I'm unfamiliar. Then she reaches over with her cane and pulls a stool closer and sort of leans on it. Love, could you do me a favor and start the fire? It's cold in here. The little pup's like, yes, Mom. And just lopes over, grabs 2 pieces of flint, and just starts setting a little fire underneath this tiny little fire pit. And once it starts going, it very quickly foomps up because you realize all they have is straw to start the fire. They don't have anything to really burn proper. So they're kind of just like feeding what little twigs they have into it, and then you just see the little guy go grab what seems to be a cloth, like a raggedy old burlap sack style crop cloth, and sort of flap the smoke away from you guys, but keep the heat in. All right. Proposition. What is it?
Well, elder to elder here. Seems you're an older person. I too am older. I mean no offense in this statement. But you seem to carry some weight with you. Do you not?
Fair bit, yes. Broke my ankle out harvesting a few years back, and on the wrong side of youth. It's not gonna ever get better. try my best not to tell the pup that too loudly, but the days of running with him are long gone. How it is, you work until you're gone.
Aye, don't I know? Now, the father of this child, when might he
Dead.
be? My condolences, might I ask?
Mining. Midnight has us work the mines to get the raw pig iron out for the armor. Of course, mice work it too. But the mice are able to fit through the tunnels more easily, and we bear the weight. So, when the tunnel collapsed, my husband couldn't get out.
So you never got
He-
his mask back?
Many, many stones fell on him. We just left him buried. There's nowhere to really bury people out here anyhow. End up taking them into the mines to bury usually. Or, well, when she looks behind her and you can see like a little deeper in, you can see what appears to be a cleaver. And what looks like the remains of a number of insects. Meat can be scarce, providing for your family one way or another. Fortunately, my husband wasn't able to gift us what little he had left. But I have a little bit of him in my child. As much as you can ask for. It's a meager existence, but better than in the wild.
Aye, but living under someone's boot, that's it's the antithesis of living, don't you think? It's one thing to live, it's another thing to thrive. And I think that everyone should have an opportunity to thrive. Working in mines, that ain't it.
You can see that she gets a little closer, and her eyes sort of sparkle. You can't really tell under the mask, but there's like an animosity that sort of oozes off of her aura. What are you getting at, Mouse? Are you here to test our loyalty? Is my husband not enough? How much more does Midnight want from us?
Far too much. Much more than I could ever ask you for, in good conscience. My thought was that weasels are not being treated fairly here, and that I want to do something about that. This Midnight, he comes from a place far away, even farther from my home, but I knew him, and he was a traitor, and he's a traitor to people here, though you may not see it. He treats your people as second rate, but I shall not have it. Whilst this civilization is burdened upon the back of your people, the mice get to thrive, and you don't. That makes zero sense to me. I want to make a change, and a drastic one at that. You shouldn't have to cover your faces and be ashamed of what you are. There is no pride in that.
She gives you this long look, slowly sits down. And you can tell, like, from the relaxing of her posture, the lowering of her hackles, like she's starting to put two and two together. So, you're from the expedition, then? Not one of Midnight's men.
I'd
Should
have
know that.
Midnight's head on a platter sooner than I'd parlay with him once more.
You'd best be careful saying things like that. My people have very little love for Midnight, but loyalty is bought with blood, time, and oaths, and there are many that would see that over their own kind. Careful who you speak to in that tone, even amongst my people.
I understand it. A lot of your people seem to think that they've been indoctrinated into thinking that this is the best possible existence they could have, despite the misery and toil you constantly are dealt with. So, my proposition to you is, as an older, average weasel, is that why not attempt to elevate yourself? Is it fear? Is it what you've been told is common sense? Is it because of what you are? Why? Why do you settle?
It's a difficult thing, but mice look at us and they see predators. They see monsters that can slay many of their kind, and they're not wrong. But we have limits. There's not enough of us left in this clan to fight. Midnight's numbers have swelled, and many of them still bear relatively fresh grudges. His empire's only, what, 40 years old now? It's not that long. And there's many mice with long memories, and very long grudges. If we were to try something, we would drown in mouse bodies before we could do anything of meaning. And Midnight has... There's rumors, you know. He's not just a mouse. He has something. Something sinister in his shadow. Follows him. They say his sword can kill a weasel with just one cut. And it's not poison. Rumor, legend, call it what you will. It wouldn't be me fighting. And she looks across the room and you can see she's looking at her pup. I'd rather he live in squalor than die on some tyrant's blade.
He shan't have to. I see the potential of perhaps just cutting off that. You know, that old saying, cut the head, body dies. I would just need assistance in the regard of not just dispatching he, but dispatching what remains of his loyal forces, because there will be an attempt at recuperating even after his death. No matter the circumstances, no matter how much I try to preach and spread all sorts of nonsense, nobody will ever truly listen to me. There are those, as you said, that are set in their ways. And if they assume to get in the way and die stubborn, then they shall. But I would need your aid in that regard. I would need the aid of all of the weasels in that regard. I can prove myself to you in any way you see fit. Could go to that mine and retrieve your husband's body if that is what you wish for me to do. Anything that I can do to prove loyalty to you and to assure that you will live a life as good, if not better, than the mice who have stepped on you for decades, I will do it. I believe in freedom above all, regardless of what you're born as.
You can see like her chest slowly rises at the mention of her husband. All right. Sounds like a great place to start. Bring me my husband's mask. I don't want his bones. I don't want to see him like that. Here, the mask of a lion. It's carved in birch. It's in one of the collapsed tunnels. One of the lower ones. I don't know. I never went there. You'd have to ask someone. If you can bring me back my husband's mask. It would be a start to the conversation.
Then a start we shall have. He'd say as he stood himself up, and he seemed content to just literally go walk out the door like that is the first thing that he was going to do.
You can feel her eyes on the back of your head as you leave. Like she just doesn't move from there.
And Giles pulls up his hood and steps out from the abode.
All right, Giles, it's going to be an extended action done over the course of days. Because by the time you get to the mine, you realize she was not kidding. That shit is completely caved in.
Giles has one thing. I believe he has the tough trait.
He has tough, and he is also a stubborn son of a bitch. So
yeah. He's going to be in those mines.
All right. Looking at this, yeah, you have the tough trait, and you also have... This is going to be a health roll. So here's how this works. You're going to be making multiple health rolls. You're going to keep doing it until you either pass out or you get the mask or you decide to call it quits. By invoking the tough roll, I will let you add an extra die onto any of these rolls you make.
Okay.
You have a total of 5 rolls you need to make back to back.
That's fair.
If you do not reach the goal, the target number, which I am quickly looking up now because this is a crazy task. If you don't reach the target number in time, there's no way you're going to get to it. It's just fruitless. You exceed it, you might even do it faster than you thought.
Okay, you just let me know and I'll start rolling.
Roll right now, Chief.
All right.
Pause between each one.
3 3s and a 6.
Okay. Let me just take one roll here. Okay.
Do I count each of these as individual successes for my health, by the way?
Yes. We'll say yes.
Excellent.
Dude, this is as much a training montage as I can possibly think of. You're literally going into it. I'm gonna tell you what you're doing. You're literally going into this quarry and moving rock by hand.
I'm like reverse Sisyphus right now.
Yeah. You're going downhill, buddy. All right, so that's 1 success on that.
Okay. 2 3s and a 5. Might have to
Right.
use one on that.
Let's see. Next one. Okay, that's a failure.
Okay, I'm gonna use my tough data P6 to that.
Okay. Nice. All right. That is a tie. That'd be either a roll off, unless you wanted to explode the die or add another dice.
I'll explode it. That would be a persona to explode, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll explode it. Yep, there we go.
That's a success. Check that off. Number 2.
Okay. You said I needed 4 or 5.
You are gonna. It's 5 rounds. You need to get to 3.
Okay. Watch me.
I am rolling opposition based on physics for you. So
I have a trader there, but I do have 1 success in that pool.
I also have a success, so that's a roll off.
Okay. So just re-rolling.
Yep.
That's not a single success.
That's 2 successes. That's a second failure.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so that's marked as 1 failure. And how many?
1 failure,
5.
2 successes so far.
Okay, so I just need to succeed 1 more time out of the next 2.
Correct.
Okay. Easy. 2 successes and a failure. I'm gonna go ahead and use a... Actually, I'll wait to see what your roll is before using Fate.
2 successes.
Yep, I'm gonna use a Fate. 1 success, and then I'm gonna use another Fate.
Okay.
Go down to 4. Nice.
There you go. That's another success. You succeed.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
One
I'm
more
a healthy
time,
boy.
Chief. One more time for me. Let's
Okay.
determine the degree of your success. No successes on my part. Just don't pull nothing but traitors.
Okay. I am up to 5 health now.
Okay.
I'm at peak mouse form.
Ripped.
Okay, so I have 1 success and a traitor, so net 0 successes. I'll go ahead and explode that 6 probably with a persona.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. That's a final success. All right.
Easy.
Cool. So, Giles, it takes a little bit of asking around. You have to spend the better part of a day just skulking around the edges of the marketplace to find out where to go. And when you get to the actual place, takes the better part of the rest of the day to just ask around before they are willing to identify which tunnel was collapsed and what they're talking about. And the mask of this weasel, who, when you describe a couple of the actual, couple of the minor weasels that are there, recognize that person. They recognize that weasel and they point you in the right direction. So after that, you get to the tunnel and you realize it's completely caved in, and you spend a full day moving stone, quarrying it by hand. Just one at a time. Till finally, about 10 feet in, you find a birch mask on a large desiccated skeleton. And it is a birch mask of a lion. It is very clearly his. So, what do you do, boss?
I'm gonna take that mask, and I'm going to walk out of this mine, and I'm gonna look out from wherever the highest point, the precipice of the mine is. I'm gonna look out and down at this gauntlet once again.
Make me a scout roll, Chief.
Excellent. I'm not good at this scout thing, so I'll roll nature instead.
Yep. And if you fail, you reduce it.
That's fine. Double six.
That's not a failure, though. So give yourself a success in scout.
Nice.
All right. So, as you're leaving, you hear a number of voices approaching the tunnel where you're at. Not that tunnel specifically, but just the area. It's sort of, the mine is like a strip mine. So it's just this giant flower pot shaped thing going down further and further. And there's dozens of rows. It's like a very gentle sloping walkway. And you can hear voices approaching you just as you get to the end, to the edge. And you kind of have to duck back in to avoid being seen. Unless you choose to do something else, Chief. Your call. But from what it sounds like, the timbre of their voices and the clank of metal, it's guards. They don't seem to be, like, looking for anybody, though. They're engaging in casual conversation with one another.
Oh, so they're not coming up. So they don't really have a real intent being up here? Or?
They're probably patrolling. They're not necessarily looking for you actively. They're just generally providing security for the mine. But that said, if they spot you and they see through your, let's be real, kind of threadbare disguise, you might have a problem.
I'm a particularly tall mouse with orange fur. Yeah, I stand out kind of like a sore thumb in this place.
And you're also like the only mouse in the Tri-County area wearing a fucking kilt. Like,
I'm wearing like a big cloak over everything, but it's just,
I know.
So let's try to sneak away.
Okay, that would be either mouse nature or, ironically, also scout.
Let's make a nature roll. I want to level
If you'd
up
like,
nature.
I'll let you use militarist or warwise.
Could I add that on to the nature roll, or is it?
Yep, that's what it is.
Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna add militarist and add 7d6 to this roll.
Okay. It's funny. This is one of those systems where having more dice seems to benefit you, but it also can just as horribly go very
I was
fucking
can
wrong.
literally
fuck you
just
over.
thinking about that.
Yep. Yeah, law of averages, man. It gets kind of crazy when you add more dice to the system.
1, 2, 3, 4 successes and 1 traitor. So 3 successes. I'm gonna level up my. Actually, I'll let you.
Hold on.
Let
Yep,
you do your counter roll. Yeah, my bad. I'm
Yeah.
stepping.
All right. So let me just make sure I've got this right. This is interesting. Normally they don't have. They usually don't have too many rules for mouse adversaries, but here we are. Ah, there we go.
Ah, yes,
So-
the mouse visery.
Ooh, interesting. All right.
Found out that mice don't sweat, by the way. I just thought I'd.
Yeah, no. You gotta love all the little details that I have to just go like, no, in Mouse Guard I've seen them draw sweat beads onto mice, so I'm just, they sweat. They also pee with control. So, there's a couple little details.
I like the
Not-
idea of just being in a court, royal court, so it just pisses all over the floor. I do decree, my good sir.
They have
Stop
bladder
talking.
control.
Like, it's just ingrained in their culture because, of course.
I mean, that might be the reason why most mice don't wear pants. But,
That's why I'm
in
wearing a
fairness.
kilt.
So, from what the mice do not see you. Describe how you hide.
Okay, first of all, I level up my nature, so fuck you.
Yes, you do. You did succeed. Well done.
I'm doing hella leveling up today. Let's see. Okay, so Giles is going to hear these guys approach, and he's going to find one of the old, like, wooden, like, probably checkpoint shacks. I'd imagine if this was a servant's mine, it's like all the peasants go down there. You had a foreman overwatching it, so he's going to hide behind the foreman's shack until they get far enough away, and then he's going to take a route that's safe for him to traverse. But he's also very tired, I'd imagine, from doing all this. But
no, dude, this has been you've been absolutely kettlebell lifting all day. Like, that's not easy work.
Yeah, all those goblet squats got my little mouse thighs acting up. So
buns and thighs.
Goblet squats are great, though.
As you hide behind this thing, you can see a number of mouse guards. It seems like there's two, but then you hear a softer pair of footsteps and a more gentle clank of metal behind them. You realize there was actually three. Two of them are just your standard black guard, as depicted there. This sort of heavy, almost black, carbon black armor. That from
yeah, do you have a hand up? Oh, we're not on the main page of like the mouse roster thingy.
Oh,
yeah, we're on the Frontier map at the moment.
Yeah, no, I know. It should be. I just showed you guys to the players. It should be there. So it's just a pop up.
It's probably one you've already showed us. That's why it's not.
Yeah, that's probably it. The Black Guard. So hold on, let me see. I'm just gonna put this in all players at this point. There. Save that. Show the players. Did that show up now?
Yes, that showed up.
Okay, there we go. All right, gotcha.
Little fellas.
Yep.
They look censored.
That would be their armor. As from what you
cute, though.
They kind of are. From what you've seen, the Black Guard wear armor that was all originally designed by Midnight, who was once a smith. And unlike most armor, which is bespoke and designed to be fitted perfectly to the person, for them, they wear this uniquely manufactured black iron wrought armor, which is mostly made up of slats of wrought iron poured into a mold and then popped out and then fixed into this very functional but bare bones splint mail. The only other part of it that is not part of that splint mail is the helm, which is cast all in one piece. And from what you can see and what you have seen, they just sort of beat it to size. It is a very brutalist method of armoring soldiers, but in exchange, we've managed to get, or at least Midnight's managed to get an army of, at this point, tens of thousands of mice armed and armored, seemingly in the span of just a couple decades. It is quite impressive, the amount of work that's gone into it. But behind them is someone that you haven't seen yet. A particular mouse of the Black Guard. If I can make sure this is visible to all players. Save changes. A particular Black Guard. A captain, from what you can see. They have a very distinctive, styled helmet, which has these two black spikes on top. And the shield he carries is sharpened to 2 points, almost for stabbing. And
duelist shield. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And he also carries with him a very brutal mace. Nowhere near the giant spiked mace ball of Adagast, but for a mouse, that would break a bone pretty easy. And so, as they approach, you can hear them whispering, and the two guards in front are gently, like they're casually sort of like ribbing back and forth, and eventually the topic turns to the subject of the Mouse Guard and their recent entry into the town. You hear one of them say something along the lines of, "Well, at least they're all gone now. Bunch of parasites stayed overnight, ate our food. Ones who threw out our king. Nonsense." And then another one, "I don't know. They seemed like they were fine." That's what they just want you to think. They're all elitist pricks. They're the same kind of mice that left us behind in the old age. At least according to the old texts. And behind them, the guard sort of speaks up. "Be quiet. It's not going to matter much longer anyhow. Mice are out there conquering the wilds. Once they're done, we'll come up behind and make sure that's ruled by proper king. You two, get to checking the tunnels one by one. Report to me when you're done. I just want to make sure there's no prospectors out here skimming off the top. And the other two guards, yes, sir. Up, go off and do their thing. And as you manage to sneak away, you sort of see behind this mouse as you're walking away that he has on the back side of his armor where the splint is a number of what appear to be bones hammered into the plates. And from what you can tell, they seem like they're vertebrae from either mice and occasionally weasels. You get the feeling he's some kind of enforcer. So, but you do manage to sneak away and cut through the what would be the word? The market on the way back. It's dead at this point. It's like it's after nightfall and no one's out there trading. So,
Oh, I completely forgot to mention this. But last session I did give Arabelle my sword,
yes, you
so
did.
I am without a weapon right now.
Correct.
To be fair, carrying around a weapon of that caliber and hiding is not going to happen.
Yeah, no. Someone would have been like, "Why do you have a great sword, and why does it look nothing like ours?"
The thing is, yeah, it's taller than me. Like, and I'm a tall mouse, so like, yeah, that would not be easy to hide with. So, Giles is working with just his fisticuffs.
All right. So, you managed to sneak out, and you're heading back to the Weasel Mother.
Yes, I am with the mask in hand.
Okay.
I'm
From what
drinking
you can
plenty
tell-
of water to make sure. Yeah, he's cool as fuck. He's evil as shit. I want to beat him and take out his spine and wear it, but
We were talking about before stream about how fascist like all.
Hey man, you know it's hard to
death
go
is
wrong with a
absolute.
black contrast.
Yep.
So you managed to get back to the Weasel matron's home, and you can see that she was sort of waiting by the entrance for you to get back, and she's clearly been keeping an eye out for you. And when you get closer, she's sort of like, "Shh, get in," and she just sort of lets you in, and then behind you, she pulls a little curtain over the door. It's this little like burlap crap sack thing, literally sewn together with twine, but it holds well enough. And as she ushers you in, so did you get it? I understand if not, but
he'd he'd reach into his cloak and hold the mask up to her.
she would just quietly take it from you and lean down and forehead to forehead with the mask and just breathe for a second, then slowly look up. All right. You're going to need an army. I can't get you that. Not even close. The weasels are all unorganized. I used to be, an age ago, the captain. Back before midnight came in. So, I can tell you, almost all our military forces are gone. They're either dead or scattered, or they don't fight anymore. But they have kids, pups, successors. Many of them have been pressed into service in the Blackguard themselves. So there are some who are trained. I can't do this overnight. It will take months to organize them. If we're lucky, we might be able to get a regiment of weasels together. And they could aid any attempt to take the city. Getting it to decapitate this city, however, and she leans down and you can hear her hiss as she does. You can see now her ankle a little more clearly. That's a sword slash, and it's at mouse height. So she got that from a mouse back in the day. We can't get into the fort. You will need to break the doors down. Every weasel in Midnight's court, every one of them, thank you for the posture check, pointers. They are loyal to the last. Sworn to blood oaths they won't betray. Many of them trained us. And it also is not a coincidence that Midnight's Keep is also the primary barracks of the city, as well as also his smithy, and where he keeps the majority of the armory. The mice there are the best trained. They are vigilant. They are all well armed. You will not sneak in. Not at least you, Redfur. If it were someone else, maybe, but not you.
I know another. She is quite small. She's a bit charismatic, did I say? If not a bit. Well, she is a baker, a daughter of a baker. But we'll figure it out, I'm sure. I can talk her into it. She seems like they do the fighting the good fight type. Just needs a bit of a convincing, I'd imagine.
All right. So you could bring that down. My next question is, what's to stop them from just murdering us all once our little plot's completed itself? We're not going to be able to make a better society if we're all dead.
Who's going to do all the work if they kill you? They need you. They'll take you prisoner before they kill you.
They'll press our pups into service before they do that. No, we need an army. You bring your expedition back. You bring their cannons. You bring their spears. You bring those brutes, the spikes. We might stand a chance.
I have another trick up my sleeve as well, of course. I don't come without my own series of tricks, especially at my age. And I'm always apt to learn a new one, too. I'll soon have a bird of prey at my disposal.
Be careful with beasts here. This place was once ruled by bears. Midnight and his people are very good at killing monsters. I would know. And she taps her mask. So, muster an army. I'll be in touch, Giles of Wolfram. I'll send runners. We can spare a few pups to run messages between you and the expedition. When you have your bird of prey, and your people are willing to turn their forces back and take Gauntlet, you'll have your forces. You'll have a regiment, if we're lucky. We will gladly throw the city into disarray to a chance to kill the tyrant. Deal?
It's a deal, as long as you tell me your name first.
Renko. She slowly extends a hand.
He clasps her arm. Like, right there.
Your friends left days ago. If you're going to catch up, you're going to need something fast. And she whistles, and her pup immediately stands up in the corner. You can see he was sort of just like playing with colored rocks on the floor. Yes, Mom. Go. Take Giles to the aviary. Get him a blackbird. Yes, Mom. Come along, Mr. Giles. And sort of lopes over into you and grabs your hand. And he's like as big as you. Even though he's a pup, he's as big as you.
Hell yeah, they're putting me in a Blackhawk. Turn out some fucking CCR, baby. Stop it, Bono! Made away the flag! This bird just opens its mouth, just like unleashing bullets on everything. Except their seeds. It's on theme.
The next couple of minutes are spent awkwardly dodging through the town as the pup is taking you clearly to a place where the guards are.
Giles is playing himself off as like a frail old man. He's like purposely putting on a hunch and like keeping his head low and stuff like that. So nobody's just like, oh. Also, with all the dirt and like dust he got kicked up in, he probably doesn't look like a red fur anymore. He probably looks like
You're like a beige fur now.
I'm a dirty old man.
Red edges.
I'm an old dirty bastard, dare I say. Rest in
You
peace.
look like if someone were to take you out and beat you with a stick for a couple minutes, you might look like a red fur again. But right now, you look like if someone left like an old crappy mat outside for a couple of months and then took it in and it just lost all its color and it's coated in dust and dirt and mud.
Get the old rug beater.
Yeah, exactly. So he sort of guides you through the town a little bit. You actually dodge a couple of guards on the way in until eventually you get to this little caged-in area, which is actually a pair of shale stones from the actual fall. They've kind of fallen into an awkward, almost like longhouse kind of shape. And inside you can hear soft like sounds of like cooing, and occasionally you hear loud, sharp squawks. And when he leads you inside, you can see the whole thing is filled with blackbirds. It's like 10 to 12 blackbirds going back. And a number of guards just kind of like milling about at the far end because it's nighttime, and no one's taking a blackbird this time of night, except you. And the pup sort of leans over and goes, "So, Mr. Giles, you really meant what you said to my mom? You're going to bring back an army?"
That's some. I'm gonna bring back something far worse than just an army, boy.
All right. So, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get on the back of the blackbird. You're going to tell it where you want to go. They know everything that's happened in this town the past 2 days. Tell them to follow the expedition. They're smart. You're not going to tell them at all that you worked with my mother or me, because they're spies they are spies from Midnight. They will tell everything. You will need to threaten it to make it go, but it will go. Distract it. I'll cut the thong on its leg, and you can take it. Okay?
Aye. Worry not, boy. We're gonna strike the fair of Saint Ainsley into these bastards, we will.
Good luck, Mouse. And he kind of gives you a little pat on the shoulder and looks over to the blackbird. And you, my friend, are going to do me a favor and try to distract this blackbird however you'd see fit. What are you going to do?
Well, I haven't done a good old gospel in a while, so I think it's time to open my heart to the heavens and allow the saints to speak through me, as it were.
All right.
I'm gonna have one of those Christian moments where they just say a bunch of gobbledygook because, and then they're like, God spoke through me. I'm like, no, I think you might have had a seizure.
So make me an orator roll. I'm gonna say if you don't have it, which does not look like you have it fully filled out yet, make me a willpower roll. If you fail, you will reduce your will by 1 for the remainder of the session.
Totally fine. I never fail, don't worry. I just jinxed it. Oh, I didn't. Look at fuck. 3 successes.
And I'm gonna quickly check to see. Okay, so blackbirds ain't that bright, but they're not totally dumb. Okay, so this blackbird just watches you come out as you begin speaking in tongues at it, shouting incoherently, and just like cocks its head and looks at you, and then looks to the left to get a closer look at you, and you just hear like underneath its weird like cawing sounds, you just hear this. Are you okay, Mouse? Are you okay, Mouse? Weird mouse, and it just like begins to like sort of squawk a little bit as you do that. And behind you can hear a soft as the little weasel child cuts the thong. It just disappears into the dark. As a bunch of guards on the far side, who've all been kind of sitting around talking, playing with what appear to be like some kind of stone dice, some kind of bone casting game or marbles game. One of them sort of like stands up like, "Shut up, bird. Busy. Like, I'm going to be able to actually win this pot. Weird mouse!
I didn't
Go
do that.
check on the
By way,
bird.
all of these.
No, I didn't.
Man, I got fucking bird noise.
Go check on the bird, Brack. Ah, it's next hand. Come on, almost there. No, now, Brack. I'll wait.
I'm
You can
ready for
lose
my
your money to
speech.
me anytime. Fine. And you can see him just sort of like stand up and grab a spear off a nearby rack. As the bird is now looking at you, wholly distracted.
I'm going to put the fear of the good saints into this mouse, this specific mouse that's coming to check on me, and this bird's heart. I'm going to scare the shit out of them so much that they don't even know how to react to me.
Oh, God. All right. Oh, boy, how are we going to do this?
I'm ready to give my sermon.
All right, buddy. This
I
is gonna
rolled
be...
I rolled a successful orator roll, so
You did. And that is a check on the successes. So yeah, as this mouse like gets closer, it sort of squints. Old man, what are you doing here? Aviary's closed at nightfall. Get out of here.
Dawes is gonna be like, like look over at him with this like mad look in his eyes. I want you to know, boy, I wear the skin of Saint Dugald, and I bear the cutting of Saint Jeffert, and with that might, I will strike you down with the fear, the fury, the warpath tendencies of Saint Kenna. Do I need to speak it again, or shall I speak it again?
He slowly turns to look at the blackbird. The blackbird looks at him. Strange mouse. Strange mouse.
Silence, unless I teach you the words of Saint Fergus, who struck wisdom into his enemies with every single blow and every bite.
And it's just like slowly recoiling from you as you do this, just like inching back. And just the mouse with the spear looking at you, just sort of like, oh, okay, old man. Let's get you home. I have a feeling you might have hit the ale a little too early tonight, and it's fine. It happens to everyone, especially at this age, right?
Every mountain will know the story of me, and I shall become a saint, like ye old Saint Candidix of battle, and I shall strike you down. I'm gonna like run towards him.
He gets right up next to you. Like he's literally like he's doing the whole like, okay, Grandpa, let's get you back to the home. It's okay.
I'm gonna take his weapon from him.
Yep, that's what I figured. I had a feeling.
What's he got?
Make me a fighter roll for this. This is gonna be interesting.
This is good. Okay, I'm gonna.
Oh God.
All right, so we're gonna make a fighter roll. So that's 76.
Yep. I'm not even gonna roll. What's the point?
I'm gonna take his weapon from him, and I'm gonna start like I'm not trying to kill him. I'm just trying to like beat him into submission. Like, don't fuck with me. And he's like, I want you to that I currently possess the cunning, the brain, the smarts of Saint Jaffa, and now you're suffering the last. Just like smacking him on the ground.
Yeah, you literally like grab it, beat him, and he just sort of like catches to the side of the head and just goes, ah! And he lands on the ground, and then you just sort of do a couple more beats on him, and he's just like, and just leans over and throws up on the ground.
And he starts screaming at him.
You could hear a couple of the other guards like, Brack, I told you not to drink any before. What the hell is this? And like a couple of the other guards like stand up immediately, go for their spears, and the bird like has just been watching this all floofed up and anxious, just strange mouse, stick, sharp stick, and like
Saint Bogdan outside float. And it's like I want to climb onto the back of this onto this bird.
Make me a hunter roll this time.
Okay.
Or actually no, make me a fighter roll. This thing isn't big enough to justify hunter. I'm just gonna make a general roll here. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Whoa, that's a lot of
That's
ones.
the inverse of what you just rolled.
Yeah, so
that is the inverse of what you just rolled. You're at -2 successes there, cowboy.
Yeah, I need to.
I have 1 success. So,
okay. So I'm going to use the persona I was given by chat earlier because I forgot about that.
Nice.
I'm gonna use that to blow up the 6.
That's another success.
Okay,
there
so
you
I'm
go.
at -1 success. So I'm gonna spend some fade.
Yep.
I will spend a fate at a time, but hopefully I get there. Another success. Okay, so we're in net
You're
0.
at even. You struck even. You need one more. One more.
Okay. Hey. Okay, so I'll be down to 2 fate after this. Viking. Oh god, this is fun.
Get me.
Roll, please, I beg you. Yes! That's a 6.
Let's fucking go.
I'm fighting the bird. Wait, does the bird make a
Oh, yeah.
contesting roll, or am I just climbing on top of it?
It is now a contested roll.
Okay, so I'm gonna use Persona to blow that up.
All right. Oh yeah, if you want to, yeah. Okay, so it's a flat out reroll now,
That's fine.
which is, it's not that big. And
Oh,
Bond.
yeah, if we're re-rolling, that's better than what I just had, so that's fine. It couldn't get any worse, right?
Oh yeah, no.
1, 2, 3, and then I have 2, so I have 1 success here. But he also has 1
Okay.
success. So
The
I get to
bird
re-roll
somehow
it.
is rolling better than you. It's rolled a 2. It's rolled 2 successes, so you need one more.
He's got a
You need one more to
traitor,
match it
though.
again.
Bird's got a traitor.
Well, no, it has a 1. It has a traitor, so I only have 1 success.
Yeah, no, it only has 1 success. That's right. Oh, that's right. You both, yeah.
We both have 1 success, so I guess we're just gonna keep re-rolling.
But you also have you also have Persona. You can make the 6 explode still.
Yeah, I'll see. Okay, I'll make the 6 explode. There we go. Okay.
You beat it. So you like turn to this bird and you sort of brandish the spear at it, and you're kind of just backing it into the corner and just squawking and flapping. And it's this thing that's like 3 times your size, but it's also largely feather and not particularly dangerous to you. Then all you do is just sort of go like and flap at you and swat at you with wings. So eventually, the spear ends up pointed at it, and it's just like, oh, I get the idea, and it just like immediately like just lowers its head to be mounted on, and just the strange mouse. Where's strange mouse? No hurt. And it just
I'm on a water path and I'll fucking gotcha! It's just like, it's like grabbing onto its plumage and like shaking it around. Go! Follow the expedition, I'll gotcha!
And it immediately expedition, go! And it's flat like flies out as the other mice come running after you, and a couple of them just throw spears as you leave. I'm gonna make one last roll for a couple of these guys. See if they do anything of value.
If I get up, it's because my neighbor's called the
Nope.
police.
And one more. Okay, no. So entertainingly, as you get out, as you start flying away, you can see that the guards, 2 of them chuck spears, and the last one is familiar. It's the one you saw at the mine earlier that day. And he comes out and he just grabs a nearby hunk of metal. You can see it's sort of like it's a cannonball from what you can tell. And he just puts it after the bird. He misses, but the fact that he did it by hand is kind of nuts. Also, sup, JJ? It's so
Can I
good to
catch
see you.
it?
But you managed to escape flying into the dark on this panicked ass bird fleeing after the expedition.
Can I try to catch this cannonball?
No.
It would have been really funny
I
if
think it
like,
might actually
arrived.
make the bird lose altitude.
That's fair. I just catch the thing and just fucking throw it back at him.
You just take you with it. Shit.
So-
Jeff out of-
Red, you have managed to successfully start the beginnings of an uprising in Gauntlet, and on top of that, you managed to escape it. And I'm going to see you're going to rendezvous with the expedition very shortly. So in exchange, I'm going to give you a total of 4 Persona or Fate, your choice, to distribute amongst yourself as a reward for this. And a big thank you for doing that. Plus, also, I'm going to give you. You're going all the way up to 1 in Orator. Just clear your passes. You earned it. You literally just bullshitted your way into an actual fisticuff situation and captured a bird by spouting religious gobbledygook at it.
Yeah,
no, I think
Giles
you
is
earned
my favorite crackhead. I've never played a character like as like unhinged as he is. But if like, could you imagine somebody just screaming at you, and the next minute they're like doing like straight up maneuvers, like cool, like just taking your weapons from you and smacking you with it. Like,
I'm gonna say at this point, this is a great time for a break if you'd like, Derek. It's been an hour and 20 minutes since we started.
Yeah, let's do it. Dogarty or anybody. We're gonna take a quick 5 to 10, and we'll be right back with more. Malgar. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you all so very much for waiting. I really do appreciate it. If you will be so kind to check out Kofi.com/Leash18 and get yourself 10% off of a DM size case. It is beautiful. It is custom. It glows in the dark with never. And it steals from the sun. Cast down your false idols. Worship the darkness. Thank you, Natisha. Thank you, RPGN. Find that link right there. Also, thank you for the raging. Omni, what's happening?
So good to see you. Well, thank you, friend. All right. So, I think we are good for some nice daytime stuff. So now we got our nice daytime music. It is the aftermath of the battle at Serpent's Run. It's cataclysmic. This kind of battle has not been fought in the Mouse territories in many an age. And at this point, what's left of Serpent's Run is little more than a ruin. Even more so than it already was. There was barely much to it beforehand. Now, some of the stones still stand, but very few. Very few remain. Let's see, it should be down here. Ah, here we go, yes. So, opening that up, making sure that's properly queued to everybody. Yes, it is. Show to players. And yeah, it's got you in there too, Red. Okay, cool. So, what's left of Serpent's Run is in shattered bits. But from what you've been able to gather afterward, the mice that survived are beginning to slowly count their dead. The mice of the expedition, who took very few casualties, have managed to somehow fell what is the largest creature that the expedition has thus had to slay. The Vicar is a terrifying black serpent, and after the full accounting, the thing was nearly 12 foot long. It was huge. The fact that it took as much to kill it as it did is a little surprise to people. The night that follows was largely illuminated by torchlights and largely filled with the screams of the injured as they were slowly being tended to, and the ruins are being picked through. What did you guys do immediately after the battle, if I might ask?
I do a count of my men, of course. Make sure that all are present and accounted for, and if not, send people to search for the bodies or wounded. Make sure my main guys are okay. Tom, of course. Send someone to check on Cedric, and then I'll personally go make sure that Preston's okay.
So, good news. Your mouse, your tortoise, your caravan's worth of mice is fine.
Okay.
Your coordination managed to keep all of them safe. No casualties. So far, you're like one of the few like tortoises this whole time that has not suffered any major injuries. So, well done.
Good.
As far as going to get Cedric goes, we're going to check on Cedric. The runner comes back, says that Cedric appears to be very winded, and from what you've been told, he is currently in the medical tortoise, in the care of the healers, and is not being seen at the moment. But he's alive, from what you heard, so that's good. Yeah, those are the two big things, I suppose. What was the third one?
Preston.
Yes. Preston's okay.
Good.
You can see over the course of the night that the Invicta is slowly using its massive legged form, its legged body to sort of pull chunks of debris out of the way. And it's basically serving as a giant backhoe. more or less, helping fix the ruins, what's left of them, and get them somewhat shelter adjacent, at least, as opposed to just actually a hazard to be in. But Preston, at least at one point in the night, just sort of, he doesn't have much time, but he does see you and sort of gives you like a very, very warm nod of approval. So
Okay.
he's good.
She's just making sure he hasn't been injured. She doesn't need to talk to him or anything.
Okay. No, he seems like he's fine. Like a couple of cuts and scrapes here and there, but nothing serious. Like they not even enough to be bandaged. So, which makes sense. The Invicta was kind of at the heart of the fighting. So,
Mhm. Well, in that case, I will send my men to go aid where they can, help carry bodies, mend people, whatever they're able to do. And then I'm gonna see if I can find. Is it Green Fang? Was that right earlier? Was that his name?
Yeah.
yes,
snake?
the serpent.
Okay.
Yeah,
The snake
Yeah.
boy.
yeah, the Sneep. Sneep.
Mhm.
All right, so you can start looking for him. I'm going to need a scout or a hunter roll from you, whichever is more convenient for you. I don't mind.
Let's see. I think one of them leveled up last time. Yeah, Scout. So I will roll that.
Okay. Okay.
Not bad.
No, that's actually solid. So you manage to sort of separate yourself from the expedition. It's nighttime at this point, and it is after dusk has fallen, and the whole of this area has been cast into darkness. It's kind of like in a little lower valley between a couple of larger, like, mountain, or I guess really more like foothills, but to a mouse, that's a mountain. And so night swiftly comes on this place, and almost before you can, like, even in an unreasonable degree, it's already absurdly dark in this place at like what would be 5 p.m. It's already like pitch black. But after searching by torchlight, you find snake sign and a little bit of like the reticulating tracks you find in the grass. And eventually you do find Green Fang, who is get this thing to do its job. Here we go. Green Fang, who I finally have art for. The boy. Green Fang has been sort of squatting in the brush with a number of other green snakes, and you can hear like the soft like shushing of him as you approach, and then as sort of like make yourself known, you hear a chorus of all at once, and then just Green Fang, wait, stop, it's one of the mice, it's not a weasel. You were the one with the weasel.
Yes, but don't let that don't let that bother you. I'm not a weasel. Don't let it give you the wrong impression. Is what I was trying to say.
I think that you have. Well, the vicar is dead, so that's something. And
Is
we
this your
live.
family?
Yes, it is. My brood. And you can see he sort of turns to you, and it's a snake. It doesn't have the same articulating face structure that a human does, but it can articulate its jaw enough, sort of like do a gummy kind of smile with no teeth. It sort of does that. So they are safe. Others of my kind were not so lucky, but some of us have survived.
That is all parties can say, except for the vicar and his kind.
Yes, I have not seen many of them left. A few rattlers escaped into the brush when the cannons started firing. I don't know when they'll pop back up again, but I assume soon.
Will you and your family be safe if they return?
I can't say. I don't know. The larger beasts protected us from the others. We are now on our own. What of the others? The mice? How are they?
We fared the same. Some casualties, but the majority made it through. You know, we have weasels in our party, which is not something that mice are often likely to do. Perhaps we could find some room for your kind as well. The indecision ultimately isn't up to me, but if you're willing, we can ask at least.
I am not. My family have already seen the destruction of their homes. I will not move them over great distance. Serpent's Run is where we have grown. But we should talk to your leaders, see what they can do.
Indeed. If you would care to accompany me back, you and whoever else wishes to join.
And he turns around and sort of speaks in a little bit of like Sneeple tongue to his brood, and after a little bit of hissing, they all sort of curl in like this big cinnamon bun pile, and you hear like soft, like hushed sleeping sounds. They will stay here. I will go. I was already used to working with mice. It will be easy. For me, anyhow.
Well, I'm just glad that you and your family were able to make it through and everything.
The snake just sort of nods, and like, if a snake could have 1,000-yard stare, he would have 1,000-yard stare. You can see his pupils are pretty dilated. His pupils are like, they're not quite fully dilated, but they're quite constricted. He's clearly still in some degree of shock, as is everyone. Like, honestly, you probably are. After you basically had an Evangelion like battle sequence occur in a medieval setting. This is not normal for you. So yeah, everyone's kind of adjusting a little bit. But yeah, no, he follows you. Quiet.
We'll go back to camp, and then if you want to take care of Derek's stuff next.
Yep. Derek, we're going to pan over to you. What is Jakan doing immediately after the battle?
Who's around me right now?
After,
literally, right, like, as soon as the fucking...
Yeah, I figured
halberd
after the
strikes,
death. Yeah.
and he speaks and dies.
Yeah, pretty much, yes. Like, within, like, the next 5 minutes, Jado and the other two weasels, who are part of the coterie, and I will say that Modi was part of was in, like, the expedition command, so she had stayed back. So, for you, currently, I'm just gonna check my notes here, because I have names for the two of them. So yes, the other two stooges are with you right now. That would be Squeeb and Gremble. And the two of them have managed to survive the battle. They're kind of just like panting there. Squeeb is wearing a bandana, red, white stripe, kind of tied back over his head, pirate style. And he's wielded a Gisarm, which is, at this point, like, practically, like, broken. Like, it's cracked in the middle. The only reason it's still in one piece is you have a feeling because he's holding it together. And the other one, Gremble, who is light gray and has a small chain hauberk around his shoulders made from various mouse shields welded together on chains. He had 2 hand axes. One of them he lost burying it in the vicar during the battle. And he's like literally over at like the side of the vicar, like reaching into the wound to see if he can fish the thing out. And he has... Well, it's one of these moments where you become very keenly aware of the limitations of your kind's physiology, and you have really long noodly bodies and really small little arms. Yeah. and it's not easy to reach. So while Squeeb and Gremble are doing their thing, Jado and the core of Hedgems that also attacked are kind of just like policing the area, and occasionally you hear the bang, loud, like at this point it's really a double Doppler boom, because you hear the bang and then it echoes off the mountain and comes back to you quickly, of occasional fire pike fire as they are slowly sweeping through the brush, putting down injured serpents they find. It's largely you, Jado, a couple of Hedgems, and, well, the two Stooges.
I call Squeeb and Grumpily over.
Okay, so, Squeeb slowly stands up and sort of walks over. He's sort of like leaning on his haunches in a big S shape, and Grimble just sort of like looks up at you and then looks back at the hole that he has his arm completely buried in, just groans and just pulls his hand out and looks and sees he's got a chunk of snake flesh, and it just goes, and it seems to like visibly brighten, like, oh, and just begins nibbling on it as he walks over to you, seemingly forgetting the hand axe he had a moment ago.
Oh god.
So the two of them walk over. Squeeb just sort of, yeah, boss, what do you need?
That was nothing.
You can't give him a voice like that. You cannot give him a voice like that after what you just described him.
I'm the only one that was like, I was not expecting that to be what's
No.
That was like when I did like a fucking like what was a Hampton's accent for Natalie's dad in Call of Cthulhu. She's like, that's not how he would sound.
Scream doesn't get to sound like some fucking Soap McTavish badass.
Statham.
You have to sound like he's gonna be like,
Hey, boss, how you doing? What's going on over here?
I'm sorry.
You know, Squeeb, despite his voice,
Scream is an extension of me. Therefore, I have to say.
I will give Gremble. I'll give Gremble the kind of goofy voice, but Squeeb's got the badass voice. We're just gonna go with it.
He doesn't deserve it.
I think it's a
all
nice
I'll say.
juxtaposition.
So, Squeeb, you've heard his voice before. He's just kind of like this brusque, sort of like this very direct kind of tone of voice. He's not exactly how to describe it. He would be he'd be the Mo of the three Stooges of the group. He's very direct, to a fault at this point. Hey, what can I do for you?
Gather Modi. Get the Queen of the Mice. And Jado, I'm gonna have to ask you to go and get Raphael. They all need to see that the vigor is.
Jado just kind of nods. Of course, I'll get it taken care of. Then he just sort of like walks off, and Squeeb, you got it, boss. I'll go grab the big mother, and we'll get it taken care of. And he begins to sort of walk after, and then for a second, Grable just sort of like looks at you, looks at Squeeb. Hey, wait up, boss. And he just sort of like hunch walks after him a little bit, and still nibbling on the chunk of flesh.
I call after Jado for a moment, and
He pauses and turns.
what's that?
He pauses and turns to look at you.
Oh, okay. I say, did you hear what he said at the end there? Sorry, that's not how you con talks.
Would you be
Did you hear
angry?
what he said at the end?
Would you be angry with me if I told you I could barely hear a thing over my own gun?
Of course. Khan will stay. Sure it slither.
He looks at you and then looks at the corpse. Brother, I think it's dead. Just a personal assessment. Pretty sure you killed it. Sort of pokes it with his staff. And it doesn't move. Looks back up at you. Are you alright? You're looking a little pale. He puts a hand on your shoulder. This is about the most concern Jado has shown.
I do know. And you very fault. Unsult. They're me.
Issues of the scientific kind or issues of the other?
I'll see you. Be careful.
He nods and sort of pats your shoulder a couple more times and walks off. And as he's walking, you can sort of see walks past one of the larger rattler corpses and sort of, as almost like an afterthought, just smacks his hammer down onto it and just sort of, like, it sort of pulls a full Gallagher, yeah, as he's walking towards it. Oh, thank you, Alec. I appreciate that. I could use a little hydration.
Same. Doing Ducon's voice really like grating on the throat after a couple sentences.
Yeah. It's very fair. A couple of minutes go by, and Jado returns, and you can see that behind him is a rather impressive entourage. What looks like about 10 Hedgehog Marines who've been reserved for behind the battle. Unlike Jado, who's kind of wearing like half armor, like he wears like splint mail on the front, but it's kind of almost like a hauberk kind of deal. It's just sort of like the front of him. These Hedgems, these Regims, are all clad in red paint, armor, plate mail. They cover their whole bodies. And they are wearing it in layered plates, so that their spines sort of poke out between the plates, going from their head all the way to their back of their body. They each are carrying these heavy fire pikes in their hands. And on the other side of each one is what looks like almost a wicked kind of battle axe. And it's almost like a Klingon level style weapon. This really heavy cudgel with it happens to fire cannonballs out of one end, and this big scythe-like blade on the other. And in the middle of this group of 10 Hedgem Marines, you can see the obvious silhouette of Raphael, the leader of the Regims, and also a squad of mice are backing this up as well. Because in the middle, you can see what appears to be Saxon, and also Modi. You don't see the matriarch. She's currently not here. And it very quickly dawns on you she's probably currently in the process of assessing the entire force. So
I figured probably giving like final words to the dying shit. Like that seems like a very noble thing. She probably. Anyway, they find me extracting the fangs. And I need to make for that.
Make me a hunter roll, yeah.
Can I make sneak wise?
Yes, definitely. If there's anything to roll snake-wise with and hunter, it's literally defanging a serpent.
Okay.
It's moments like this, I'm glad that Roll20 just lets you choose how many d6s you want to roll. Just like on a whim. It's so nice.
1, 6s, graders, but do I need to?
No, you're good. That's enough. That's more than enough successes. Yeah, you managed to get in there and sort of like rip them out one by one. They come free, pretty cleanly actually. It's almost like sort of dislocating an arm. It's like it's like a loud sort of crack or pop, and they just come out. And the vicar doesn't move. Its eye is at this point pretty glazed over in the firelight that you can see nearby. And yeah, no, you have 2 serpent's fangs, which are currently utterly oozing venom. It's so bad you need to wrap them in oilcloth because the venom on contact with your skin physically burns. But yeah, no, congratulations, you're the proud owner of 2 new snake fangs. And they're big. Even for you, these things are like the size of sabers.
I think I'm gonna try to make it into a bow, but I'm not sure yet. I want to think about it. I'm gonna
Okay.
let's percolate on it. I'm also gonna take his fucking head. I'm gonna skin his head. I don't think I need to roll for skinning. Unless you
Or
want
like
me
a
to.
hat.
I don't need another hat. I'm doing it out of principle.
Like Volpes and Kota from Fallout New Vegas, you just like have its mouth open and you're like looking out through it.
This thing is so big that for a mouse, it could be a doorway. Like you could use the mouth for like a cathedral style gate,
No,
and it would
that's
work.
Definitely taking that. Yeah, if we can,
Yeah.
we can fit that on the old Sedney, I'll be super happy.
I'll say that if you want to start doing that, you're gonna need help. This is gonna take a team of mice and like a bandsaw between them. Like literally, it's gonna take like 6 mice sawing back and forth to get this clear,
How
or
long are we
like
staying
2
for?
weasels. Say what?
How long are we staying for?
And that has not been decided yet. No one knows. You
Contingent
just
on how
attack
long we're
this
staying
place.
for. If I feel like we have enough time, I might have to make a will roll to see if, in his anger, he is stubborn to let anybody help him. Just insist on doing it about it. But I'm ready to have that
That's fair.
conversation with Saxon.
Okay. Yeah, no, they both step forward and sort of look at you. And Saxon, as he steps forward, the regims in front move to the side. And you can see that Saxon has this large, beautifully crafted greatsword in his hands. It is truly a gorgeous It's a gorgeous weapon. One side of the guard curls up, the other side of the guard curls down. And it's so big, it's actually big enough to be used as a one-handed sword by a weasel. It's big, and it is coated in blood. Saxon fought, and he fought well, from what you can see, from the sheer amount of splatter on the sword arm, and the fact that his red cape is a little redder than usual. He sort of steps forward and leans on the scabbard, sort of to allow his upper body to rest on his locked legs. Well done. Hell of a kill there. Got to admit, I'm kind of impressed.
You honor me, Saxon.
So, I hear tell from Shadow you have a concern. He sort of looks around. I'm assuming you mean more than the epic task ahead of us.
Yukon nods his head, and what he's about to say he doesn't say with like a vicious tone. He's just got kind of a vicious voice, and he's kind of perma-ing. But I'm not trying to be aggravating when Yukon says, Yukon has fought. He has prosecuted Feldbook. Instead, Yukon would speak true.
I think you've earned that. Go ahead, Weasel.
As the creature spoke to me,
Aye?
one sentence, I will see. The previous eve, on experience, same dream. Only Dukan was fortunate to Messiah. On Conward, some trade. It's possible.
Saxon crosses his arms and sort of looks over to Raphael. Raphael shrugs. I'm a master of the physical sciences. This sort of nonsense is beyond me. He looks over at Modi. I've heard stories of such dread things. The old country has felt magic. what I hear, but, well, it's legend to us. You have a lawkeeper, don't you? The one who shouted above the storm? Saxon nods. Aye, but he's kind of indisposed at the moment. You're going to want to make him not indisposed. Saxon just kind of shakes his head. Aye, that's fair. All right. We's Dukan. You're gonna follow me. I'm gonna take you to the medical tent. We're gonna have ourselves a talk with Cedric. You might know what's going on.
Yukon will nod without saying another word. I guess at this point, I still don't know how long we're going to be here, so he's going to let them get started, and if things don't go the way that he likes them to go, he's going to finish it himself.
As you're walking towards the medical tent, you see a mouse coming out of the ruins with a pronounced limp. And behind him is like a group of like 20, 30 mice, all who are just like carrying various bags and masonry with them. Some of the bags are stained with blood, other bags are just what appear to be rock. And as you're walking by, you can hear the lead mouse with the limp sort of looks over at you and goes, Dukan? Is that you? You were the weasel from the other night, right? And he comes sort of like skittering over, and as he does, you can see he's actually got himself what appears to be a crush now. And I can see if I have the art form right here. Here we go. Boop.
Oh boy.
And it's Cole of Serpent's Run returns. And slowly sort of limps towards you, more quickly than he was going before. And on his back, you can see he's got a bunch of papers rolled up into what looks like a wrapped tube. And he's wearing a little green, sort of like what's left of his cloak, but it looks almost nice now. Like it's kind of been trimmed a little bit since the battle, and it gives him a very distinctive kind of look. What are you doing? Wait, and he sort of like gestures where you came from. Were you the weasel that... the vicar? And...
Normally,
wow.
Dukan would be like super proud and like kind of basking in this and gloating in it, giving his weasel, but at this moment, he's just kind of like, just like looks at the little mouse and just gives a slow, not like, affirmation.
I'll let you get back to it. When you're done, I have some things to show your leaders. I've been digging as best I can. And he sort of like pulls the cloth tube forward. And you can see it's like rammed full of parchments. All too big for him. But for serpents, about the right size. I managed to find my way into what's left of their repository of knowledge. Found a couple maps and a couple other things here people might want. And us. If we're going to rebuild. Sort of slides it back.
This is good. Proud.
Thank you. Thank you for being good to your word. Weasel. And he just sort of smiles and bows and lets you pass. The next couple of minutes, walk in silence. It's really not much more than the occasional bang as a Hedgem finds one of the few combatants that hasn't fled and isn't dead and puts them down. And at the medical tent, you can see there's a group of about like 6 mouse guard, and every one of them is in full plate, and all of them have great blades, and they're all coated in like blood and dirt from the battle. But they're all basically surrounding the door. And inside you can hear soft muttering, and you can see a smoke wafting out from the top of the tent on the top of the tortoise. There's like glow of orange coming from within, like a lamp light illuminating the whole thing. It almost makes it look like a snow globe. And as you guys approach, Saxon just waves a hand and the guards stand aside. And Saxon slowly ducks down and begins to open the door. Before he goes in, he turns around and he just says, Saxon's in a weird place right now. He's still coming back to us. So you're gonna need to speak very clearly and very carefully. Alright? He might not be himself. You'll see what I mean in a second. And he slowly opens the door. And within, you can see Cedric, who, standing in this picture, would be the one standing furthest to the left. But in addition to his sky blue cloak, he's currently wearing an orange cloak over the top of it. And his eyes are burning orange. Like, actually, like there's a candle flickering behind them, casting like a pale light out of them. And the muttering is coming from him. And you can hear occasionally his voice, and then another voice, and it's like they're talking to each other in a language you don't understand. And as the door sort of creaks open, and I'm assuming you go in.
After a trepidatious look inside, Dukon follows the other mice, and keeping the other mice in between him and Cedric there. I think that he would have a kind of animal sense that something very off is going on here.
Yeah, no, make me, you know what? Yeah, make me a nature roll. Add 2 to the dice roll. No, will.
Oh, that's so...
Will.
Ooh.
Add 2 to the dice roll. That's enough. Okay.
I have 1 will.
Damn. You'll get a success on this one.
Is it 8?
When you step in, it's just you and Cedric, and along the inside there's like a couple of mice that are there, a couple of apothecary mice. One of them is one of the healers you recognize from earlier, the old man, sort of like working at a pestle, and sort of mashing what appears to be honey and a number of herbs together. And next to him, you can see there's another mouse clad entirely in black robes and wearing what appears to be like the mouse equivalent of a plague doctor's mask. And he is flipping through a bunch of moldy looking scrolls, and next to him sort of mixing a beaker with something that seems to be glowing in it. And it's like a very pale, like violet kind of concoction. It has a bioluminescent kind of glow to it as he does. And the two of them are on the other side of the room, clearly away from Cedric, who is sitting on the only cot in this room. You realize that all the other cots have moved out to handle the injured outside, and now you know why. This room is right now only for Cedric, or whatever is posing as him. And slowly, Cedric's flickering eyes look at you, and occasionally, like, the candlelight seems to disappear, and Cedric's little, like, black and slightly blue eye locks on yours, and then it just flickers again to orange, and he slowly stands up, and it's like every move he makes, it's strange. It's like watching two people try to stand up at the same time in the same body. And he sort of is like rickety, almost tips over for a second, puts his hand on the bed, then he speaks to you, and Dukon, I was wondering when you'd show up. You must have questions. Ask them, Weasel.
Dukon's kind of like really narrowing his eyes and like kind of leaning backwards as much as he can in this cramped interior, like, oh fuck, what the hell is going on with this guy?
Yeah, dude, you got 8 degrees of bad vibes off of this. 1, he's wearing the cloak, one of the 3 cloaks you found earlier in the campaign. You recognize that from the bundle. 2, that is, like, all the bad feelings you felt from that cloak are now tenfold coming off of Cedric. Honestly, I had you make a will roll to see if you would run.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured it was on.
Yeah.
Well, Yukon is going to very slowly and very carefully explain that, so basically what he told to the other three kind of people in charge that, the night before, when everybody was dreaming, he was, like, one of the first people to wake because he literally just, like, screamed himself, like, raged himself awake. That he hasn't felt right since, and, that as the dying well-being, the usual, like, I feel like I'm still locked in combat right now, even though I'm just room talking to you. Everything's going on really bad. I don't know what to do.
Okay. Cedric listens quietly the whole time. And occasionally, besides the strange shift in posture he goes through from his more relaxed, normal posture to a very proud, straight-backed one, it's literally like he sort of flickers through them, almost like altering like poses, like a toggle being slapped back and forth. After you're done speaking, there's a long pause. There's here this sort of sick cackle come out of him, and it's in the other voice, just this. Finally a weasel reaps more than it can handle. Who would have thought killing something would finally have consequences, hey, Predator? It stands up, and at this point the eyes are just glowing bright orange, and it walks over towards the counter, and it picks up a little tincture off of it, and uncorks the bottle, and looks at it, smells it, corks it again, and puts it back in the thing. Not yet. All right. Listen, Weasel. What you have done is you have finally broken a long-standing curse. You see, back in my day, when we killed beasts, even their death caused pain. A very simple trick of magic. Death is a powerful catalyst, you see, and it works on both sides. The reaping of it and the claiming of it. You, by killing, create power, which can be turned into fuel, like fire beneath a beaker. And he sort of gestures towards the mouse and the plague mouse, who, for, like all that's going on, appears to be impassively still doing his job. Whereas the act of dying can be catalyzed into will. Your kind still leave their pits open, do they not?
Always.
And you have at least learned one old lesson. Glad to see you haven't forgotten it. He pauses. I don't believe we've met, by the way.
I know to skip sent.
I know. Cedric is an open book. We share a body. We share a mind. At least now, for the moment. In time, death will claim me once again. But for the moment, I walk the living at the behest of my kind. Cedric was kind enough to give me his body to use. So, you may refer to me as Kelgor, first of the Mouse Generals. I was one of the ones that fought the final battle on this land before we left for the Mouse territories. You might recognize me in some of the various fineries they still have He sort of gestures towards one of the walls. You can see there's like a tapestry on it. And there's 3 mice. One with a red cloak, one with a blue cloak, and one with an orange cloak, and resplendent headgear. And around them, weasels on all sides, teeth bared about them. Death is power. The killing. And the actual act of dying. Most creatures think of the killing side of it, but they don't think about the fact that death gives power to the dying. One last spark to do what you want. And it appears your friend, the serpent, was a spiteful beast. He cursed himself long ago. Those to kill him would be cursed too. I suspect he thought it would be done so that he wouldn't be dealing with a successor, a deterrent. Funny, you weren't planning on ruling this place, were you? You paid for it. I don't know how you break this. It may take many moons to finally come to fruition, but when it does, you will deal with the Vicar one last time. And then, well, good luck.
Yukon has killed. So.
Just so. You're kinda good at killing here. But the dead aren't the same. You'll find we're quite beyond harm. You will need to kill it another way. What do the dead fear more than anything? To be forgotten.
I was gonna say oblivion.
Yeah, basically.
Yukon has.
Very well, go ahead. I have a few moments before the apothecaries put me down.
So Dukan's gonna recount the tale that you told me last session about predators and that I have access to, which is actually what I tapped into in order to get myself out of stream. I'm going to ask him if that's something that I can learn to harness, or if that's something that's going one way street.
The creature sort of looks at you, and as it does, you can see its eyes beginning to flicker, and Cedric's body beginning to sort of slacken a little bit, and clearly it's losing its strength. And for a second, it almost seems to like completely flicker out like a candle, but then just like briefly reignites and looks at you, and its eyes shine so brightly it casts you an orange light. You wish me to teach a predator the ancient arts they once used against us?
I wish you to teach of a protector. Our.
It's a little between us, Weasel. I fight for blood oaths to the matriarch. My people died long ago, and their children and their children's children. The Mouse Guard of the modern age bear little resemblance to my kind. My era fought the beasts that fight by their sides. My people would not sully their hands with the sweat and dirt of your people. And as he's saying this, you see that slowly from behind his back, he's been carrying Cedric's long sword. He slowly holds it out. You can see it's flickering the same orange light that his eyes are. But I'm dead. It's not for me to judge my children or theirs. So I'll tell you what, Weasel. I won't do it. But I'll leave Cedric what he needs. he can teach himself and then teach you. He throws the sword in front of you and just sort of shakes into the ground through the wood, and it's like buried almost like what would be the mouse equivalent of a foot into the timber, with like an inhuman amount of strength. My time for fighting is done. I give you back your patrol leader. Call me again if you need me, Saxon. Spare me the presence of beasts. And Cedric, immediately his eyes flicker out to dull gray, and then just he falls on the ground unconscious.
I'm good with ending my scene.
Yeah. It's fair. This is about the time.
Captions are fucking so wonky sometimes.
They're really funny.
Vending machine there.
Wait, squeeb.
I like that it
Squeeb.
caught
What does it
fucking
translate?
perfectly though.
What does it translate squeeb to?
Squeeb?
Squeeb.
See what it
Squeeb.
does.
I don't think it even wants to try. Squeeb.
Yeah, no, it didn't. I'm seeing nothing.
Squid.
Squid. It
Squeeb.
got
Oh, it got
squeeb.
squeeb!
It got
Let's
squeeb.
go! Let's fucking go! Oh my
I think
god!
we've said it so many times we taught it.
And finally.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
That's so great. It's at about this time that there's a commotion that settles over the camp. As the sound of fluttering and squawking and vaguely aggressive sounding shouts and a strange brogue come from above, and a blackbird comes plummeting down. I'm going to say at this point, right now, that Dukan, as you're leaving the medical tent, or leaving the medical tortoise, and Sienna, you at this point are actually walking away from where you were checking on whether or not Preston's okay. You're both close enough where you see this giant ass blackbird shrieking bloody murder just trench into the mud, and this little, what seems like beige fur mouse just comes flipping off and into the ground.
I have arrived.
Red, by all means, take it away, buddy. You're here. As Saxon just shouts something along the lines of "bloody hell," and like half draws his sword before he sees it's a bird, and a couple of like the mice in the front just like lower their weapons and sort of like make a half phalanx around the healing tortoise to make sure everything is okay. Go ahead.
Giles is gonna walk over to the bird if he gets flipped off of it and put his hand on its head. Not go.
Weird mouse! And it just shrieks and kicks off the ground and just, weird mouse! Weird mouse! Serpents run, gone! All gone! Vicar dead! Weird mouse! And just flaps off into the distance. Squawking as loudly as it can. And Saxon's just staring kind of at this thing flying away. And just leans over towards one of the other mice nearby. You have a shot? I take it. And the mouse produces a short bow. And we're going to see if you can kill the blackbird.
Giles spits at it at Mach 9. See if I can tear a hole through it.
That hits it. You just see this, and in the distance, and the blackbird squawks. You see a small splatter of what must be blood come out of one of its wings, and it flaps off in the distance, shrieking, now in pain as well as screaming. It's many different observations all at once, and the mouse just kind of curses under its breath, and Saxon puts a hand on his shoulder. Good enough. It might not make it back. Well done.
Giles is like brushing himself off. Don't ever say I'm not one for grand entrances. I make my joyous for it, Sally.
Yukon will kind of like, from where he is, slowly just start trudging over towards Giles. Watching the bird get shot, squawk, and back to Giles like, where have
Not less.
why?
Well, figured I'd get a wee bit of an head start since this is something that we're gonna need to do regardless. I am, between you and me, Dukan, I've been getting a bit of an insurrection going. You can say that real quietly.
This is
I'm getting the weasels on my side.
spirit. What do you
Indeed. What are my people?
They fought nobly against the snakes. Likely drink.
Casualties?
Do we see
Sayana,
Sayana?
you're there. You're both. You're there. You got. Yeah.
Well,
It's up to
But
you.
I'm right here. I'm like, it's that scene from The Office where Mike's standing there. Suddenly,
I like the idea. That's why you're called the small. Just everyone like looks over your head when they're looking around, and you're like, "I'm right here."
Yeah, Giles looks over and down. Oh, why that?
been here the whole time.
Oh, so you heard
Good
all
to
that?
see you
Then.
too.
He'd clap her on the shoulder. You're gonna help me with something very special later.
I am.
Indeed.
I don't even know where you've been.
Gauntlet.
Between you and the weasel, I'm going to have an early retirement.
I've been in the mines. I've been a wee bit busy. It's a fun story, really. I'd rather have a pint than talk about it right now. I'll talk about it after. I'll regale you with my tales of grandeur, walking around in the street looking like a dusted potato.
What were you doing? Sword.
I'd have made a weapon to make a point.
Then what were you doing in mines?
I found something much more valuable than a sword or a fight in the mines. There is this, in her day, she was a captain amongst the weasels. I sought her out through happenstance and rumor mongering. I told her that in reaching out to her to make good, ensure that I'm ready to prove my loyalty to the weasels, she said that her husband died in the collapse of a mine. Left his body down there, buried. So, I dug, nearly, I'd say 10, 11 feet, and I found his mask, brought it to her, and I have now incited an insurrection.
This is
Slowly but surely, it's going to take time.
very honor them. They will soon be our people. My cousin. Someone and you. They do not need to be taught how. They need to fighter. I think.
Everyone has their place, but nobody's place is being beneath someone else's boot.
There's a moment where Dukan considers telling both Sayana and Giles about the curse. Especially after Giles like just continually like gives him that affirmation of like, yeah, we're gonna fuck this asshole up who's like keeping your homies down. But he kind of like bites it down. I don't think he.
Giles is, well, he lives up to his namesake, the aloof, and he's going to pat both of you. He's going to pat both of you with the same amount of strength that he would pat Dukan. So, I wish you luck with that.
Mhm.
Sorry, Dad. Well, I'm off to see my people. If any of them died, I'll blame it on you.
Saxon from up on top of the tortoise just sort of looks at you and waves idly. Welcome back, Lord of the Wolfram. Good to have you. And he just turns and enters into the healer's tent and closes the door behind him. And you can see the sort of flickering light finally just like fades from within.
Did anyone sense sarcasm there, or is that just me?
You have been gone for a while.
Been busy. I haven't just been faffing about doing nothing. You'll see.
We know that now. They don't know it yet.
They don't need to know. The less they know, the better.
Sounds like you were faffing about then.
If you consider faffing about gathering up an army, sure.
I mean, as far as they're concerned.
I'll keep it that way. Don't care. I don't want to overload anyone with information that they don't need to know. Old military strategy. Don't overwhelm people with information. They got way too much on their mind to begin with. Especially with this battle here, evidently.
Yeah, no, dude. Giles, you literally approaching from the air could see the full scope of the battle. And a giant, like, 12-foot long, like, black viper that is lying on the ground, kaiju style, across what was left of Serpent's Run. And all the shattered bits of stone everywhere. This looks, honestly, like, this is a battle, but damn, if this wasn't, like, the most brutal siege you've never seen.
I'm sorry, I was listening, but I was just looking at Natalie's cat, and it's perfectly still. It hasn't moved at all. I thought it was a statue for a second.
There we go.
It was just completely still. It's like, Natalie's moving around, the camera's not lagging, it just that was so good. It was still for like 2 or 3 minutes. Okay.
I'm gonna produce the fangs of the vicar.
Wait, Dukan. We should gaslight Giles into believing that I single-handedly killed the vicar. It'll be hilarious.
Are you saying this right next to Giles?
Oh, I'm whispering it to you, so he can't hear. Imagine how furious he'll be thinking that a mouse defeated that giant snake, and he wasn't here to be that mouse.
Dukan thinks about it for a moment, and then just like hands you the bundle.
So, I hand it to Giles. Well, it
It's
was
like
hard,
as long
but
as you are probably.
Yeah, but literally,
thanks.
him handing it to you was
in
kind of like getting
part-
2x4s in the arms. Like,
Thanks to everyone else creating several distractions, I was able to fell the beast. Cyanna's not laughing, she's serious. I can't keep a straight face though.
Oh,
I'm you're gonna make a will roll, Red, and Cyanna, you are gonna make me. Oh God.
Deceiver.
For this one, Persuader.
Okay.
No, it is definitely Deceiver. It's definitely
Okay.
Deceiver. You are lying through your teeth.
making a will roll though.
Oh.
Yes, you're making a will roll. Opposed.
Can I add anything to this?
2 successes enough, or 3 successes enough. Trader.
I'm willing to let you add. I'll let you add your ranks of Persuade to it.
Okay.
I'm being generous. If only because you have material evidence here.
I'm gonna have like a Final Fantasy X Titus level laugh if you fucking tell me this.
I'm gonna explode it. I really want to see how Giles reacts if he believes that I killed this.
I love that. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
That's a roll off right there, hilariously.
Oh boy, here comes the dangerous consequences of your action.
Actually, wait. No, that is not.
No,
that's still
I
not
need
a
to
roll.
roll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
I'm
need to
gonna
another
roll.
six.
Oh, that works against.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no.
spend another persona.
You would need
There we
to.
go.
Okay. You would now need to roll another 4, either by adding another fate or adding another persona to explode it. But either one of the two.
I guess I'm gonna explode it.
Roll off. Same roll. Four dice. 46 for both of you.
Oh, that's one success.
That is one roll off.
It's another roll off. I'm trying really hard to deceive him.
One success.
Nope, no successes.
Oh man.
One final go
Did I
for
do
burning.
We're
fate.
not gonna go into combat, so
That's what you
know.
think.
Oh,
Oh, come on. Oh no.
Yeah, no, that's
No.
probably that's a no go.
Oh, that was my last one. Dang it.
So
Can you pretend to believe me and humor me?
so
Giles just pats her on that. That's nice, sweetheart. Just fucking.
for I will say for a second you almost believe it. If it weren't for the fact that Dukan was not holding that and not bragging, and the fact that she was holding these giant things, for a second you almost believe it. And this part you just like, no, that's bullshit, and just like on a whim you call it, not because of any evidence, just like, no, that's.
I do a rock eyebrow raise, like. And it just like looks, and he's like staring at her really sternly, and then he goes, "Oh, ah,
I almost had you.
oh."
You almost believed it though, didn't you?
Oh, not for a second. They turn and start walking off.
And he wants me to do him a favor.
You will be. It's mark my words.
So, Giles,
Yeah.
we're going to go to you quickly. You do finally come across the tortoise. Your familiar old, at this point, I guess friend, really, at this point. Yeah, you would be. That would be your friend. So, this giant tortoise slowly sees you approach. And you hear this in its voice as Bergild slowly lowers its head for you to step aboard. And it seems like it's content to see you again. And on the back,
Pat.
it needs a little bit of a hard thing. It's a lot of bone and scale on that thing. And as you get up, you can see a number of, and by a number I mean like all of the Wolfram Guard, all sort of like all kneeling there, quietly speaking. There's prayers for the dead, not for them. They are all accounted for. But for other mice, you can see are all in burial shrouds at the moment. And you come on roughly at the same time where you can see Arabelle, who is currently presiding over the whole thing, her standard planted on the ground, your sword in the scabbard in her other hand, almost like a scepter of office. And so, commend you into the hands of the saints, as your service has been exemplary as theirs was. Gently taps one, taps another, taps one, taps another. Slowly she looks up and sees you and narrows her eyes. You are bloody indestructible, you maniac.
What?
Get over here and take your damn sword, you lunatic.
I felt a bit naked without it. I'll speak truly. Come over and just relinquish it from.
She throws it at you, and when you catch it, she just runs over and gives you a quick hug. And like all the other soldiers immediately stand up and run up and just like group hug you and like pile in. You just hear like, He's back! And like everyone's sort of like cheering.
As surely as the lakes are carried from rivers to the sea by Saint Bake, I return upon the tide of war.
And I think this is a great moment to fade to dark. So I could do a little more. You guys want to do a little more, or are you guys ready to call it in? Because this is a stopping point as much as the next.
Probably a good stopping point.
Yeah, we're like
Okay.
10 out from 3 hours.
Exactly. That's what I figured. So with that, we're going to call it into the session.
That was so much fun.
Quick. Thank you guys. I'm really glad to be back.
I'm glad to be back. I know I missed a couple
I
sessions.
really missed like streaming.
Same.
Oh, I did too. I was just like, fuck it. I was like the other day, I was like, fuck it, I'm streaming Magic. Like, I need to stream something.
I'm not going to lie. I've been itching to get back to it. And I'm like, no, I need to do writing. I need to do work. It just felt weird getting back, but thank you. This is
Works for chumps.
fantastic.
Red bullied me into
I'm
not
also-
doing a New Year's Eve stream. So.
I did, because I knew you were going to regret it, and you were already burnt out. I could tell.
What were you saying?
I know these things.
I'm also going to take a very quick moment, and I am going to just take a little second and say to basically give out the different awards. Normally, there's the 3. So you have MVP, you have Workhorse, and you have Embodiment. However, I feel I'm going to give out 2 MVPs today and no Workhorse. So, Derek, you get Embodiment, 100%. Like, your character literally
First week.
has been, yes, you are Superstitious Weasel, and you played it very well.
I'm trying to play like Conan the Barbarian, to be honest with you, but I'm not really familiar with Conan the Barbarian. I'm just like
You're
familiar with the
doing a
idea of
great
Pulp Fiction,
job.
So I'm just like
You
aiming
are-
at that.
You're doing a good job, honestly. Like, all you need to do is have, like, the accent and a loincloth and oiled muscular body. You nailed
Big
it.
titty weasel woman.
Yes. The lamentations of the weasel pups. And so I have to give you that embodiment. You take yourself a Persona or Fate, your choice. I'm going to give out the MVPs to both Red and also I've got to give it to you too, Natasha. God, my brain is on
No.
fire.
It's all good.
So sorry.
Sonya, Sayana.
Sayana, yes. Because of the fact that I think both of you two are MVPs in different ways. Sayana actually really was glad to see doing what she was doing today. She actually was coordinating troops, and that was kind of fucking important, especially in the aftermath of all of this. It was really nice, and I appreciate very much your patience with everything earlier. Both you and Derek, but Derek got embodiment. I was going to give it to you as well. So you 100% get that. On top of that, I'm going to turn over to you, Red. You're going to get MVP because, Jesus fucking Christ, do I really need to explain why?
Mhm.
That was fucking sick,
Yeah.
dude.
Thanks.
Natalie, Red, Derek, it's a pleasure to stream for all of you again. Truly it is. Thank you guys. I love you all.
I'm sorry.
Me too. You were not JJ, please. My brain is made of pudding, and I'm. It's not. It's not Natalie. It's obviously Natalie. It's not Natasha. I know. I'm just old man brain. Anyway, I hand it over to you,
Oh.
Derek, because I'm embarrassed now.
It's all good.
I
Dim
honestly
Dim's
thought
pretty-
it was Sayana's name that you couldn't remember.
No. I literally, my brain was like, oh yes, I'm just gonna grab a couple of these wires and slap them together. I'm like, motherfucker, I've literally been playing with her for over a year and a half. I know her name. I literally know her name.
I did the
It's
same.
my
I'm not
mother's
sure you
name.
know my name. I'm kidding.
Well,
Yeah, you did a really great job today, Natasha.
Oh my God.
What's my name now?
Yeah, Natasha. Yeah.
God, Natalie.
Dim,
Someone
Blue,
please put that
Dim
on my
Dim
headstone.
Studios, Natasha, and what's Omni?
Change my name to Jack and hit me in the head with my headstone. With that
No,
written on it.
I'm naming you Slim Jim. That's your name from now on.
At least it's not Squeeb.
It could be.
I don't know a good way to twist on these.
Salami.
Salami.
I
God.
go with them. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Chad, for being here. Oni, love it.
Thank you.
Let's do our shout outs. Happening.
Oh, not much. Covet this weekend and other stuff. My brain's kind of mushed. I'm working overtime this whole month and part of next month. So I've been doing 10-hour shifts. That's always fun. That's probably it.
Thank you for being here. Love you. Red, what's your hood?
Hello, I'm Red. I'm one of the 3 primary colors, and man, I got a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna like condense it down into I'm editing book, I am stream, I am what else am I doing? I have a book out. I have 2 books out, so go check them out. You can find them. Find The Clock Right. That is one I wrote with Jay Ashley. She was wonderful to work with, and I hope to work with her again in the near future. And she will be on Writer's Block week after next, so that's cool. But other than that, I'm going to be streaming on Derek's channel. I'm going to be doing a full campaign again on Derek's channel. If you liked Lancer, if you even remotely liked Lancer, don't worry. It's more where that came from, kind of. I'm playing. That's 5e, so it's pretty close to Lancer, to be honest. But I am very much looking forward to running my homebrew setting for the first time for a stream. I've never actually shown off this homebrew setting to anybody other than small groups, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And Sunday is also the premiere on my channel of the Blind Eternities. There's a Magic the Gathering D&D 5e crossover campaign. It'll be 6:30 CST over at my channel, like I said. And yeah, it's also where I'll be announcing the winner of the giveaway.Ami's in that. So is Skag and Elise, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'll probably have on guest Planeswalkers at some point, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, I will announce the winner of the giveaway during that stream. So if you've entered my giveaway, which I think 700 of you have, so or 400, I'm probably overshooting that. 400 or 500 people entered. So be sure to check that out. I will be announcing in the middle of the stream. Other than that, Writer's Block on Monday, featuring a brand new person. I'm very excited to meet them and like work with them, because we haven't had a new person on to Writer's Block since we started, right? I don't think we've had any like new.
Yeah, no, it's been cycles, but not. Honestly, I'm super psyched. I'm super psyched about it. Just generally, it's been fun to be back at it, man.
Yeah, I Fleet Tetrick on Twitter. Check them out. I'm very much looking forward to working with them. Like I said, I've never talked with them before, so this will be like a OG Writer's Block where we're like working with people we haven't actually previously talked to. So this will be fun. But anything other than that, I'll probably be streaming Magic the Gathering on tentatively throughout the week and stuff like that. Whenever other folks aren't streaming, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. But every other Tuesday, I'll probably be doing a variety stream until we kind of get settled down into like a TTRPG. But in the meantime, catch Derek will be over there with me, and we'll be just doing random shit, probably just playing games, Magic, shooting the shit about whatever the hell we feel like. It's a variety hour. So yeah, other than that, I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna pass it back over.
Well, thank you for being here. I love you. I appreciate it.
Love you too, boss.
Quincy, I'm sorry. We're actually right here at the end of the stream. The VOD's gonna be up though, and also I can post. But yeah, sorry, we're right here at the end.
It's worth a watch today.
Yeah,
it's
it
100% worth a watch.
Hold on. Speaking of, Omni, go on, buddy.
Well, besides my evident early onset Alzheimer's, as revealed by the end of the session, I'm doing great, actually. It is genuinely wonderful to be back with you guys. I missed a lot of you, all 3 of you. I love running this game with you guys. It's so fun. And oh man, I have been hermited up for the past month between moving into the new apartment. As you see around me, thank you guys again for all the help you guys provided. You kept us off the streets in December. I cannot thank you enough. And we are looking stable going into the new year. Thank God. It's really nice. So I've been using my newfound stability to do full-time writing on Legacy and prepping for campaigns, because I'm going to be running 3 campaigns on my channel coming very shortly. 2 games of Legacy, 1 on mine, 1 on this channel. So if you're interested in seeing 2 interwoven campaign narratives of the same sci-fi thing I've been working on for 20 years, the game that I've been working on for 20 years. First Flight is going to be on DM Studios come early February, and second run is going to be likely about the same time on my channel. where they will be the same time, same universe, and occasionally they might bump into each other, or at least the after effects of what they've done. So that should be a fun time. If you like Mass Effect, Halo, basically any big sprawling space opera, you might enjoy this. As far as the other game I'm running is Skies of Eternia, my first ever D&D 5th Ed campaign I'm DMing. I have DM'd D&D before. I have not DM'd 5th Ed. I have now played in like 8 or 9 5th Ed campaigns. I'm ready to fucking run it. So I'm super hyped to do it. And other than that, keep an eye out this Saturday on my first stream of the month, first stream of the new year. We'll be running the Stellar Forge, opening it up again, and we'll be doing work on Legacy, both rulesmithy-wise and all that. And we're back to the other streams, rulesmithy on Wednesdays. Thursday, I should have my Xbox back up, so we'll be back to the Breakfast Club. And on Saturdays in the morning, I'll have Stellar Forge. And eventually, the other streams will be popping on Wednesdays, alternating, will be my Legacy Second Run campaign. And Skies of Eternia will be Thursday evenings on EST. So keep an eye out. And that is me, Derek. Thank you as always for letting me run this awesome channel.
Well, thank you, man. I love you. I appreciate you, dude. Can't believe we've known each other for like over a year. We've been playing games for over a year now. This is crazy.
It's insane. I'm just happy to be here.
Time's just flying on by, bro. Cool.
Cheers to that, buddy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Chat, you rock. You can get yourself to off of the DMM case or some of the other wonderful cases that Sale has on their Ko-Fi right there. The link to that, use code RPG. Thank you again. Yes. We're going to be raiding into Fungeon Master. Fungeon Master is somebody that I've known kind of tangentially on Twitter for a good amount of time. I didn't know that I wasn't following them, so I kind of feel shitty about that. I thought I was following them on Twitter the whole time, and I wasn't. But they're good people. They're really fucking phenomenal artist and digital artists. So, kind, make some noise. Guys, I will see you Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for Zambies, hosted by Soul of Souls Rolls. On Saturday, you can catch us live at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time with Booty, our Piratical 5e setting at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can catch us right back with 5e of it since we are about to go fucking go very that. We're going to war. That's gonna be that's the session. So if you like mass combat, like style shit, but a little bit smaller scale and a little bit more tactical, it's gonna be fun. Omni saw the grid. Omni saw the battle map. It is a lot different from what you guys fought on last time.
It's gonna be crazy, guys. I'm super hyped.
Sunday, A Song of Ice and Fire, hosted by our good boy Andy, Haven Art. And then Death Roll is on its new time, or new date, I should say, Tuesdays, every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Next week, Death Watch, right? Good night, I love you, and I will see you Friday.